welcome back to episode 2 of the podcast. And if you haven't listened to episode 1, please do go and listen to that because we introduce who we are and why we started and all of them different things. Yeah. Now, today we are looking at something. We're going to go right back to the beginning and we're going to talk about, and I'm laughing, but it isn't funny. But when I think about my time at school, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to talk about our time at school. So Chloe, I'm going to come to you first. Tell me about your time at school.
My time at school. I remember finding things harder than my friendship groups. As a whole, I remember my spelling being commented on a lot.
Okay.
We need to practice our spellings more. We're still getting them mixed up. And I remember having to make little rhymes up in my head to try and remember things. So I still, as an adult today,
Yeah.
85 years old, cannot spell rhythm without saying rhythm has your two hips moving. Can't spell it.
Okay.
I have to do it.
I love that.
A necessary one collar, two sleeves. I have to do it. I love that. Just can't. My brain doesn't do it. And I remember there being a massive emphasis on trying to get my letters to go the right way because obviously B and D very similar, things like that. And my children's names one begins with a G, one begins with a J, and I get them mixed up all the time. So I don't know why I did that to myself.
You
But
like
yeah,
a challenge, right?
just to remind me, keep me in my lane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was dyslexic, but no, I didn't know that at primary school. I just struggled with certain things and remembering certain things. But then I remember in year 6, I don't know why we did it, but as part of a lesson, we had to learn how to count from 1 to 10 in Japanese. And I can still remember it to this day.
It's
Okay?
imprinted in the brain.
Yeah. But then you tell me a spelling, gone, disappeared. And I remember getting a lot of headaches. I remember saying to my mum that I felt like the pages were moving. And she took me to the opticians and they were like, no, your eyesight's fine. And I was like, no, things are moving a lot. And it was giving me a lot of headaches and things felt really bright when I was looking at white paper with black text. So fast forward to high school.
Oh wow, that's a
And
long.
yes, fast forward to high school. Things obviously were harder because the work was harder. Um, and I remember just struggling more again than my friends. And then when it came to like little tests and revision, I'd have to physically write everything down. I know we all have our different ways and means, don't we? But things just wouldn't go in and I'd get them in the wrong order. I'd remember the start as the end and things like that. So then my mum at my year 8 parents' evening to my English teacher said, her spelling's appalling for her age. I think, is there something going on? Because she just really genuinely struggles with it, no matter how much she tries. So he asked the SEND department to do a dyslexic screener on me, and it came back that I was more than likely dyslexic. So then I got properly assessed, and I'll always remember the assessor read out something for me to remember, and then I had to answer questions on this passage, this story that he'd just told me. So I was like, right. So then he said, right, how long was she in prison for? And I went, she was in prison. Genuinely, that had not gone in.
Yeah.
And it was like, that is the best answer I've ever had. Yes, the whole story is about her going to prison. I was like,
I thought you was gonna say who.
no, didn't get that. Did not
Yeah.
understand that at
Okay.
all. Um, so, but then I've got a really quick processing speed, like
Right.
super quick. So also got MS, so I've had to have cognitive tests as an adult as well. Um, and so do you know like there's a lot of boxes and then there's a key and each shape equates to a letter, if you will.
Yeah.
So if you see a triangle, you'd put an A. If you saw a circle, you'd put a B, that type of thing. And
Yeah.
then there's just a long list of all these shapes, and you've got to just fill in which letter they equal. You've got to do as many as you can in a minute, and then it's where you get up to. So forever I've been told, wow, you can process things really quick. So as an adult, I've had them, and I'm in the what top 1% of the population for processing speed.
Oh,
Apparently, it's
wow.
like my superpower. But the problem is I can't do anything with it.
I'd
So
I'd be looking into that. I bet there is something.
as great as it is that the brain can do that, I'm not, yeah, nothing comes from it. So I'm not some super genius. But yeah, so I can process the information. It's just getting it out onto
Mm,
paper, verbally, remembering it. But my brain can physically take it in, but then it scrambles. So I got told at high school as well, we're going back, green was my colour. So
all
instead
right,
of
okay.
white, so I had a lot of like overlays for my work, or
Yeah.
they'd print it on like a green paper. That continued into college. And then I was able to get like extra time in my exams and things like that, which really helps because then the panic doesn't set in as much, does it?
Yeah.
And I had weekly lessons with the Sen Centre at my high school who were teaching me like these tips and tricks and how to overcome certain things. But I also see it in my own child now.
Yeah.
He gets his B's and his D's and his Q's and his
Yeah. Sunny does.
so he's yeah. But that
Mm,
that's can help me help him.
yeah.
I can teach him all my little rhymes.
Yeah, yeah, I love that, and it's funny because what you were just saying then, as I was listening to that. So one of the things I play rugby for anyone that doesn't know, and one of the things that comes up when someone's kind of telling me we're doing this verbally, I'm like, what have they just said? What have they just
Slow
said?
down, tell me again.
Yeah, like what? I need you to show me. And then one of the girls in my team, she will kind of give me a suggestion and she'll say, so one of the things that we do is a ruck. And what that means is now I've got this perception, this thought process of prone. So she'll go prone. So I know I've got to get down like a prone. And that's it. Like if you tell me the word, it's gone. Whereas that, so I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, continue. So obviously you went up then into. So what I'm getting is, did you get quite a bit of support then?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
When I went to university, I didn't get a great deal at college, but I was allowed the extra time. So if I needed it, I probably could have asked for
Yeah.
it. This was the time where you didn't get EHCPs, you just got statemented.
Hmm.
So I'd see the educational psychologist and they'd put things in place and that. I did have teachers though make a point of doing the whole class in green paper and then being like, it's green because of Chloe, and he'd point me out and he wasn't very nice. I could
No.
tell he was more annoyed that he'd have to gone out his way and got green paper.
Mm.
He was a bit annoyed with me. So but oh well. But then at uni, I did have somebody I met with every week, was like a learning mentor, if you will. And she would listen to any issues that I was having with any of my lectures or seminars or any work deadlines, things like that. And she would try and teach me ways to overcome that, or she could go back to the university itself and try and liaise and sort something out for me. And then I got like a laptop, and I was allowed like a software on it that could read through things for me and read
Brilliant.
things aloud, so I wasn't just looking at my eyes, working,
Yeah.
relying on that. I had a dictaphone so I could record my lectures so that I could go back and keep listening to them. Because again, it was retaining
Yeah.
what I was hearing. Um, it went in, but it didn't stay in. Yeah, so there was lots of things at university that I found that really helpful. Like I said, there was software they gave me, loads of help. I was allowed extensions, obviously within reason. I couldn't take the mic. But yeah, so I've had a positive-ish experience, but I do remember feeling very different and like I struggled a lot more, even comparing myself to my brother.
Mm.
He he can just remember things. He can be told something or read something and it's in. That's it. It's done, dusted. Whereas I'm like, no, you need to tell me at least 15
Yeah.
times in 15 different ways, and then it might go in.
Yeah.
And that's my only way. And I realized I had to literally decorate my walls with posters and mind maps galore
Yeah. I love
so that
mine.
when I could just look at them while I was doing my hair in the morning, and then when I got to my exam, I'd write my mind map at the top of my exam, and then I'd have all the information I'd need. So I do remember struggling.
Yeah. And did that? support you. So was you able to, did you leave school with GCSEs? Did you hit your
Yeah.
targets and things like that? Love that.
So
Yes.
to be honest, I have done quite well. I left with I don't know how many, but they were all A's and B's. I think I got a C in maths. Maths is my nemesis.
Brilliant.
I hate
Oh,
math.
don't. I'm going to talk about maths.
I think now, so when we were at school, it was just dyslexia.
Mm.
That was an umbrella term for anything, whether it was numbers you struggle with,
Yeah.
letters, writing, whatever. Whereas now there's dyscalculia, dysgraphia. Dyspraxia was around, that was more your balance and things. But I would be diagnosed now with dyscalculia because I can
Mm.
I always remember my grandma was turning 70, and my mum said, right, I'm going to distract your grandma in the kitchen. You go upstairs to her bedroom, get her address book. Here's a list of names, write the numbers next to them because we were doing a surprise party. So I was like, right, 007, here I come. So I went in, wrote all the numbers down, not a problem. Gave them to my mum. A week later, she rang me and she said, none of those numbers were. So why did you ask me to do it?
Yeah, mum.
That was your first error. I can't even give you a door number. If there's more than digits in a door number, it's wrong. It's going to be wrong. My husband has to check everything, like bank details. I have a really big thing. If if you're sending money to people, I know I'm
Yeah.
going to get it wrong. So I'm like, is that right?
Yeah.
And I'm copying numbers down and things. And when people say to you on they'll leave an answering message and they're like, my number's, you're like, oh, what? If you're listening to back, I'm like, slow down.
7 times. Yeah, I get
Still
that.
processing the last digit. You're onto the one more. Yeah, so I got that, and then I went on to college, and started A levels. I stayed. It's supposed to do 2 years at college, aren't you, for A levels? I did three because I didn't know what I wanted to do at uni. So I said if I did some extra A levels or ISs, could I do 3 years? And
Yeah.
I'd planned that in like my second year, and they said, yeah, not a problem. So I ended up with four A levels and three ASs.
Brilliant.
Um, and then I went on to uni and I got my BA.
Mm.
And then I did start a master's, but then I became quite poorly. So I, unfortunately, nearly a year
Mhm.
in, had to defer from that. But yeah,
Love that, love that. Thank you for sharing that. And again, I can totally relate to that, and especially the maths. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story. So I absolutely loved primary school. So it was funny because I got down some of my reports. We was like going through the attic and looking at some stuff, and a lot of the reports said the same thing. Very polite, very nice child, friendly with everybody, tries really, really hard, however, not quite there. In a nice way. It was a very nice way of saying it. And it was consistent. There was a lot of daydreaming, a lot of gets very distracted, a lot of tries her best and just doesn't seem to get it there, really not for trying. So that was consistent throughout. And then in year 6, I remember this moment because I got my pen license in year 6, like it was really late. And I was like, I was kind of like the last one to do things. So I was the last one to swim a length. I was the last one to get my pen license. And internally, I really did judge myself based on all of my friends. I would constantly look at how different I was. And I felt it. So, kind of like what you said, like you can see the difference. They seem to get it. Like, I'd be looking over at my friends in class and head down, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. But I really did like primary school. And then I finished, I did get my SATs. And then I went to high school and everything changed for me then. And I think the first couple of years, so year 7 and 8, you're kind of just getting into the swing of things, you're meeting new friends, there's a lot of new things, so you kind of deal with it. And I think I just got to a point, probably year 8, where I kind of withdrew. And the reason for that is basically what you said then. So I remember being sat in a maths class. And again, it wasn't not for trying. I really wanted to learn. I wanted to imprint this into my mind and remember it. And I remember there was a teacher that we had, and he was very old-fashioned, kind of blazer on. He'd sit there, he'd have the blackboard, he'd have a pen and paper, and he had these really big eyebrows, okay, really bushy eyebrows. So I'm thinking,
picture
right,
him.
Look at him. Focus on the eyebrows. Focus on the eyebrows. It'll go in. It'll go in. I remember having this conversation with myself and then looking around to see if anyone's looking at me, and I'm looking at his eyebrows like, yeah, nothing. Nothing was going in.
But you can picture those eyebrows.
Yeah, and all I could see, like, I can remember them today. I can just see them now. Like, if I could see them here. And I just remember thinking, what is wrong with me? Why can I not have this information going in? And that is something that I struggle with today. I can't retain that information. And I remember just sitting there and then starting to nod. And I'm like, right, wake up, focus, like flicking myself, pinging myself, just trying to be in the room. And that was all of the time. So it was the lessons that I had to sit and retain. Whereas if I did things like PE and cooking and woodwork and all of them different things where I was doing something, I love those lessons.
Yeah, and music.
And it got to a point where I thought I was dumb. That was it. That was the only answer that I had. I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm not getting it, and no one else seems to be struggling, but I am. And I'm not going to ask. Like, people will say things like, you should ask if you're struggling. What teenager is going to put their hand up and say, and we might have some, don't get me wrong, obviously I'm not saying that everybody's the same, but in my mind, if I'm going to put my hand up and say, I'm really struggling with this, I don't get it, everybody's going to look at me. Everybody's going to think what I think. She doesn't know enough. She's dumb. So that was kind of my constant for all the lessons, to the point where I then started to behave in a way that wasn't great. So I would start saying things, shouting out, being disruptive, throwing chairs around, getting sent out. I think I was from year 9 to year 11, I was on report. Every single day I had to go. I had to get a report signed. I missed a lot of school because I didn't want to go in. There was lots of avoidance there. And it got to a point where school, like, I had some teachers that were great and they could see, like, they would say things like, you can do this, you know, I believe in you, you can do it. And then there was other teachers that didn't. And again, it's the same now, isn't it? It's the same process. But then I was given, I think it was in year 10, I was given a mentor and I was given a school counsellor. So I often went to see my school counsellor, and my mentor sat with me in most of my classes. I think the ones where I had to sit and focus, so English, maths, science, that kind of thing, and they sat with me. And that mentor believed in me and really supported me, and I'll always remember him. And I remember saying to him, you know, sir, in that way, I'm going to be a mentor like you when I grow up. And he was like, well, I hope you do. I hope you do it. Like, I think you can do it. I think you believe, I believe in you, and all of these different things. And he was just that one person who I had. Because all the other lessons, like I said, maths, geography, don't even get me started on geography. I don't know where I were in the class. I was just like,
I'm awful. I'm lost when I leave my front door.
Yeah. So I constantly have to have a sat nav around, even just around the town. And I just really, really struggled. But then give me PE, like I said, I was a doer. I was an action taker. Anything that involved movement and doing them kind of things, I was all in. Now, I continued that process, that cycle, and I left school with absolutely no GCSEs. I think the highest I thought in my mind was a D in PE. So the activity side, brilliant. When it comes to the theory, the sitting, that just lost it. So when I looked through my GCSEs, and I was like, oh my goodness, my highest was an E. And again, I'd gone through all of this time at school, I'd done all of the different things, and I'd left with nothing. And I think the biggest thing for me, apart from I left with a feeling that I wasn't good enough, I was stupid, I was dumb. And it wasn't until then I went into college doing something that I wanted to do. So I went into young children's learning development, and I went down that route. I went to hairdressing first, actually, and I had to do my key skills. So because I'd not got my GCSEs, I had to do the extra learning there. And I did that, and I passed it because, one, I was in an environment what I felt more comfortable with. One, the way that the test done, it was on a computer, so it was very... Okay. It was a different way of doing it.
Dopamine inducing.
Yeah, it was, and I was like, yes, love that. So I did that. So I qualified from that because obviously you needed to have certain things before you went on. I then went into hairdressing, and then what I found is all the things that I love doing and what I'm passionate about and what excites me, I do really well in it. So for me, then going on to go into counselling and coaching and therapy, and now I'm studying my master's in psychology. I guess the biggest thing I want to say is to parents that if you have a child who is struggling, and I shared this in the group the other day, that does not mean that they can't achieve things. It means that they have to do it in a way that fits their learning style, their brain, and all of those different things. And I really struggled at university. Like, I really struggled. And again, we didn't know why. Like, I probably was seen as the chatty, disruptive person. And then even now at university, it's not been the best support, let's say. And this is 26 years after I've been at school. And for me, and again, it's like what you've said. So you actually said, you know, I had that support and I was lucky in that sense. And this is what we see throughout and consistent. Some people do have that and some people don't.
It's a lottery.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people say. It literally is a lottery. It's a lottery postcode. It depends where you are. It depends, all of them different things. And that's really sad.
Really sad.
And especially, like, I think people have this misconception about neurodivergence that they need to just be left to do whatever they want and not have any
rules, no expectations.
Like what? That is the worst thing.
You know what I think from listening to both of us, the main thing I picked up on was the pressure we put on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not having no rules and no expectations because we put them on ourselves regardless, whether somebody gives them us or not. But the pressure we put on ourselves to fit in, to do well, to try and understand what people are trying to get us to do, it ruins your mental health. I remember at high school being an anxious mess.
Yeah.
And that was because I didn't feel I was good enough at anything and I struggled and I shouldn't be struggling because why did I find that easy? But that, like maths, in high school maths, my maths teacher was fantastic, to be fair to him. He had patience of a saint. He'd explain to the class, this is what we're doing. Then he'd go, Chloe, I'm coming to you in a minute. And I'd be like, thank you. Because I couldn't take that group instruction in. He knew I needed a one-to-one, like, look, and a little bit of a drawing on my page or something. And his incentive, he used to come in with all these funky ties on. I will give you your favourite tie of mine if we can get a B. He said, because you're absolutely able to get a B, but we just need to do certain things. I was like, game on, mate.
I want that tie.
I'm having it. I don't even wear ties, but I'm having it. And I remember after the GCSE, he said, what did you put for that last question? And I told him and he went, I was like, that was wrong, wasn't it? I was like, oh no. The hardest ones are at the end, it's fine. Oh gosh, what was I going to say? But I remember at high school, that was it. So as a 14, 15-year-old, symmetry, couldn't do it. And that made me feel thick. Absolutely stupid because everybody was looking at me like, why can't you do that? Do you know when you put a mirror, the shape?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember doing that.
So simple. Like they do it at primary school. And they were like, why can't you do that? And I was like, I don't know. Why do the shapes not match? I'm drawing what I see. But it was just my eyes distorted it. It didn't look right. And that made me feel like a baby.
Yeah.
Like I was a toddler.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. So then those sorts of lessons, I can't remember what the topic was called. Not doing it.
Yeah. You kind of you close up like, done. Not doing that, can't do it. Yeah.
I'll just chat. I'll just annoy everybody.
Yeah, and actually, if you understood what was happening or you had a different way of doing it or something like that, whatever it is, you would have had a different way of thinking, feeling, acting.
And then going into school knowing I've got that. Then the night before knowing that that's my next day.
Yeah.
It's that pressure. It's that anxiety. It's them. It just ruins your mental health.
It does. And this is the biggest thing. So I'm seeing it now. So as you were talking about obviously having dyslexia, I'm seeing it in one of my children now because recently actually we had a parents' evening and the teacher is incredible and we were having a conversation and she was saying like he's doing amazing, like his reading is really good, like his highest he can be for his reading, he's a brilliant pupil, he's very well behaved, is this, however his writing has actually got worse. So the other day all of his writing was back to front and I know that if he just tries he can do it. And he is a trier. He tries. And what happens is he then comes home, and because his friends are doing it and they can do it, although he can do all the other amazing things that he can
Yeah,
do
they
a
don't fit
lot, you focus on that thing. And the reason that we do that is because our brain focuses on the negative. It looks for the threat. It looks for that thing that we cannot do. And the reason for this is because we want to belong. It's one of our basic human needs. And if we don't, it's instinct. If we don't feel that we're part of the pack and we're not, if we're behind, like that's a big problem. And this child is very young. So to have this thought process now, like I'm worried of how that's going to go when actually it's all based on those basic tests that we have in schools. And I guess the question that I want to say at the end is that needs to change, because there's so much more to a person. Like I think of myself now, everything that I've achieved, even though I left school with no GCSEs and didn't do well and couldn't retain and still can't retain the information now. I mean, I sit down and do the uni work. It's like I'm starting fresh every single time. I sat down. This is why I think for a lot of neurodivergent people, they will say you leave everything till the last minute, or the reason that we do that is because we'll forget. We'll forget what we've just gone through. And that makes me really sad. So we as parents work to try and help him feel better about the situation. Like as soon as he said this conversation, I sat down, I was like, let's write our affirmations for the month. I am clever. I am good at this. I am good at that. So we kind of do that. But of course, lots of parents don't know that and understand that. And children don't always share how they think, how they feel. They just internalize it.
Mine would be to be kind.
Yeah.
Yourself, to others.
Yeah.
What you can do one day, you might not be able to do the next day, and that's absolutely fine. As parents, we might not have the best patience.
Yeah.
And we might, lose our temper. That's fine. The fact that you're worrying about it means you're a good parent.
Yeah.
Our parents just don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So just be kind. We've all got our limits. We're all human beings. So when you see somebody struggling, just think, oh, because kids are cruel. At school, kids are cruel. And I don't know why. So if we can teach one thing, it's just to our kids to be kind. To always say something kind to everybody. Leave a kind note.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess if just to go into that as well, and understanding for ourselves as adults, but also helping our children understand, not that there's anything wrong with anybody else, it's that we're all different. And again, in terms of school, I think because we're all in the same uniform, we're all in the same class, we all say it's this sameness. Yeah, so if you don't feel the same as everybody else, that's like, oh, there's something different, there's something wrong. Like it isn't. It's the fact that we are all different. And yeah, I love that.
Normal.
And I talk about this like in terms of mental health as well. So you might have somebody that comes in and they aren't smiling, or they look really down, or they look unhappy. Rather than thinking, oh, I wish they'd smile or do something, what about what they might be going through? They might have just left a house where there's someone really suffering in that house, or maybe they're suffering. They might have just have had a loved one that's passed away, or you'd never know what someone's going through. So if you have that in your mind at all times, like we said, behaviour is language. Like there's something there. Always think about that. Yeah.
Always, yeah.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to leave it for today. I hope that you've enjoyed learning about how we learn. And we will see you in the next episode. Don't forget as well that you can subscribe to this podcast.